resume from where we left. So we were discussing about the HANA database, and in HANA database, we have discussed about performance and current status and all this. Now we'll be moving further. So this you can check it on daily basis, and based on that you can check the alerts and all. So performance we have discussed already. So now I will be discussing about the configuration. So in the configuration, host should not be accessible. So these are the services as we discussed when we start the HANA database. So these service will get started. So if any service like during the system operation, like when system is running, right, and you feel that CPU utilization is more or RAM utilization is more due to one of these DB services. So we have the option, instead of starting the whole database, you can try to restart the service from here. You can restart the service from here. Okay, it will automatically get started to reduce the load. It will not result to the system down scenario except index server. If you stop the index server, in that case your DB will be down. Right. So thing is that apart from index server, because index server will be the server service which will be holding all the data and the DB operations. Apart from that, all that you can restart. Or if the index server is having problem, in that case you need to restart the HANA database. Then I discussed about the different traces, right? So by default in the system, the database trace will be active, right? .trc files, which we have seen, right? Like in the alert, like there are so many diagnostics files are there, traces are there. So, so let's say your system is having some issue, and you raise that issue with the SAP. You need the assistance from SAP to solve that issue. So in that case, SAP would like to repeat that scenario or replicate that scenario. So what we need to do in that case, SAP will be suggesting you to activate some traces. Okay, they may ask you to activate the SQL trace. They may ask you to activate the expensive statement trace. They may ask you to activate any of these traces. So whenever these traces will be active, they will try to perform those actions, or they will ask you to perform those actions again, which cause the system hang status, let's say. And once that issue or scenario is replicated, you need to make the traces as inactive, because these trace file will generate in huge amount, and it may it will be bigger in size. So you should not keep these traces active at all the time, as it will result in the space fill situation in the at the OS level. So based on the issue, based on the scenario, and as per SAP recommendation, or you want to do some analysis, let's say you have the expertise in HANA and you want to understand what is happening in the system between this time to this time. So you can activate the expensive statement trace, and based on that, expensive statement trace file will be generated in the trace folder, and there you can check those trace files. So similarly, SAP will ask you to activate the trace and then share those trace file with SAP. And after that, SAP will try to identify the issue, and based on that, they will provide the recommendation that what needs to be done. Any doubt in trace configuration?
No, sir.
Okay, then we have the config files. So let's say you need to set some parameter, some DB parameter. Okay, So there are INI files where you can maintain the parameters. So I'm just opening one of the file and one of the let's say backup configuration I would like to see. Or okay, we'll discuss this backup. So these are the parameters which are related to DB backup. So you can see that the response time out 600 second, backup catalog buffer size is 8, and catalog backup using backend false, backup buffer size is 512, and save point lockout time 7200 second, and log backup buffer size is this. And so these are the different parameters. So when SAP, after the system installation, SAP will check the system, and based on their checking, in which they will check all the parameters and all, they will provide the recommendation that please set this parameter value to this as per the, standard value. So what you need to do, you need to set those parameters value in HANA database. So how to do it? Let's say SAP has suggested to change this value. So you need to just double click and you can set the value over here and click save and then OK. So what will happen? So that parameter value will be set. So as we know that whenever we are setting the parameter, we need to restart the database. So whenever we are restarting the database, keep in mind, you need to stop the application first, and then you need to stop the DB and then start the DB and then start the application. So we will be setting up the parameters based on the SAP recommendation. So SAP will keep keep sending the new notes, new release that this parameter value has to be set this as per your system's release. So based on that, you need to make the changes. There are chances that some of the parameters are maintained in multiple files. Okay, so SAP will be clearly stating that in which file you need to maintain that parameter value. Let's say one parameter is there, okay, which is present in compute server.ini and in dp server.ini. So SAP will clearly state that please maintain this parameter in compute server.ini. So that particular value you need to maintain in compute server.ini. Do not make any changes in dp server.ini. So here the configuration, the parameters we will be setting up according to the SAP recommendation. Will not be setting any parameter based on our choice, especially in case of HANA DB. So from here you can do that. If you want to see what all changes that has been done in these configuration files, you can see that what was changed, what was the previous value, who made the changes, everything will be stored here in the log, so that you will keep track of everything what is happening in the system. Then we have the volume, the data volume and log volume. So the thing which we have seen in the overview, it is more or less same. Here it's just the another what is there inside that mount. So you can see that total size is 571 and use size is this, disk use is this much. And for log, so basically slash and a slash data and slash and a slash dog slash log disk usage, you can see it over here. Apart from that, nothing to be checked here. It is same as we have seen in the overview tab. So you just need to click here, and when you click, so the rest of the detail you can see it over here like this. So you can see what is happening in the files also, you can see. So how much is the status and free and all. So then we have the backup configuration. So for every organization, this I have already discussed, that a combination of full backup, or differential and incremental backup, right? So this you can set it up, and If you are taking the backup from here, so your backup will be stored on this location. So from here you can fetch the backup. Then there are some customizable functionalities. These are nothing but will be used by the HANA modelers or HANA developers, I would say. They want to do some customization to prepare some report, so they can use these customization functionality available in order to have a better view of that report. Now then comes the jobs. So there are two things. Okay, first, the job which you are scheduling in the system using SM36, and there are some jobs which will be running directly on the database. So if you want to run any job which is related to database, that you can see it over here. So we have the central calendar. It is nothing but the DB12 and DB13. So here you can see what is scheduled for the DB and what is the status. So you can see today is 19th of August, and if you want to see, you can see nothing is scheduled for this. So this central calendar will show you what all job that has been set up or scheduled to run on any particular date. You can see it over here. So central calendar will have that detail. Then we have DBA planning calendar. So DBA planning calendar will be used to plan the DB related jobs. So you can see that, if you want to take complete data backup, you can double click on that, and then it will ask what is the plan date, action, how it will be executed. You can add it, you can set the recurrence also. So while scheduling the job itself, you can see the estimated backup size is coming, right? So automatically system will calculate those things. So if you need to take the backup, okay, if it is not configured, you can trigger it from here. But as we know, while taking the backup, system will be slow. So it is advised to take the backup after the business hours. So similarly, we have different options. You can choose any of those and you can execute it. Now, let's say you have triggered some jobs and you would like to understand the status of those jobs, like whether it is completed or not, or it got failed, or it is having issue, or it did not run. So all those logs, you can see it in the DBA log for all the jobs which you have scheduled for DB. And then we have the backend configuration. So it is basically, it will show your system, and that's it. Apart from that, nothing is needed in the jobs. Any doubt in the job scheduling or DBA planning calendar, DBA log?
Sir,
Yeah.
we take the backups every day, sir, during downtime.
As I discussed, right, in previous class as well, right? So DB
Yeah,
backup.
that's what I mean. If we take the yesterday's backup, then do we delete the day before yesterday's or last week backups?
I'm coming to that point only. So every organization will have the backup strategy. Okay. So what will happen based on their organization policy for backup? Okay. You are supposed to configure the SAP backup. Okay. Let's say in your organization, there are 5 other softwares are running, and for them backup policies like backup will happen at 11 p.m. in the night, and we are supposed to keep the backup for last 7 days. This is the backup policy. So what you need to do, you just need to implement the same, configure the same for SAP system. So you will be scheduling the system backup for 11 p.m. every day, and you are supposed to keep only 7 days backup. So at OS level, you can keep the backup for 7 days, and rest all backup you can delete. So either you can delete it manually after 7 days, or you may create a script at OS level to delete the older backup which are older than 7 days. Some organization may require 1 month backup to be kept, right? So those things we have to configure according to the organization strategy. Sometime what will happen, the backup strategy will not be in place. Okay, so in that case expertise will be required. So questions will be asked to the basis consultant, like what should be our backup strategy. So you can, if you are working in data critical organization, so when I'm saying data critical organization, it means that you are working for bank, insurance company, or hospital, right, in which data is very critical. So in that case, you have to follow the government rules and regulation. So what government has suggested? Government has suggested to keep the data for last 7 years. Okay. So it does not mean that for full 7 years you will be keeping the data. No. Let's say today you have implemented your system. So you take the backup, and every week you are keeping the backup for last 7 days. So what you can do, let's say today on 19th you take the backup, you keep this backup, and you delete the backup which are older than 7 days. Let's say it's 28. So on 28th you keep the 19th August backup, and you can delete the rest of the backup, right, prior to 1 week. Okay, so the backup which you have taken on 18th 19th August, right, and the backup which you have taken on 28th August, right. So 28th backup is the backup which is having the data of 19th August as well, right, because we are taking full backup. So likewise you can implement, but make sure that whatever the backup strategy you are proposing, you need to understand the nature of business, and you need to check the data retention policy. Is there any restriction from the government for that particular organization? And based on that, you can decide the data backup strategy. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now we have the diagnostics. So in diagnostics, as a part of daily monitoring, okay, so I have already told you to check the audit log. Audit log is totally subject to the configuration if you have configured it. So missing table and indexes, you should check. So if any table is missing which is not created on database, I showed you that day how to create that the table on the database. So to improve the performance, it is necessary to have no missing table and indexes in the system. So sometime what will happen, developer used to create the index and tables at the application level, and they used to forget it to create at the DB level, which will create performance issue in the system. So you can see that everything is fine, right? You can see that the tick mark, right? So all is fine. There is no missing index in the system. So no action is required. Now, if you want to not this, so then this self monitoring. So HANA DB will itself do the self monitoring, and based on this monitoring, alert will be generated. So this is pre-configured, no need to do anything. And you can check the consistency check also, like all tables are consistent or not. So you can check the consistency check history. Then we discussed that day also the SQL editor. So let's say your manager asks, or some of the functional consultant ask you that we would like to understand how many records are there in that table. Okay, so what you need to do based on the table which will be given to you, you need to run that query. Don't give this access to any of the end user or functional consultant. This access has to be given only with the basis or DB team. So that day also I discussed, right, the some script. SAP will provide you some SQL scripts and they will ask you to share the output of those things. So what you need to do, you just need to copy that SQL script and paste it and execute it. So it is just, the SQL editor is the SQL prompt for HANA database. So like the normal SQL thing you are doing. Okay. So if you want to do some analysis on HANA or you want to fetch something, you can do it in the SQL editor. Then we have execution trace. So let's say you have some, trace you have activated, right? And you wanted to understand the trace. So you can put it over here and you can check it, what is happening in the system. Okay, on live. Then we have tables and views. So table and views, I'm just giving you one example. A, and B. Okay. So HANA schema is SAP HANA DB and table name is AC Doka. Let's say you would like to understand what is there in AC Doka, what is the size and all that stuff. So you just need to give the table name and you can see the estimated memory size, current memory consumption, number of records, everything about the table. You can check it over here like this. You can see when this was created, when this was last modified, all those detail will be over here. So you can see the short description as well, like for what purpose this table is there, and you can see the application component as well. So application component, you can see fi/-gl. So it means that this table is related to fi module. So if anything which needs to be done, you just need to check this table with the fi consultant, and you can see the column name. Okay, let's say you would like to check the value, some particular value in that table. So you need the column name, right? For SQL command, when you will give select star from this table where this column and value equal to this, right? So in that case, you have to check the table like this, and then based on that you can create. 1 minute. So like this you can check. Similarly, index will also be there. So index will be there in the system for better performance. And then comes the table partition. So this table partition is one of the most important topic in HANA DB. Why? Because in HANA, if any table is reached to 2 billion records, in that case your system will be stopped. So SAP HANA is having this limitation that no table in the database should have 2 billions of record. If 2 billion records are there in the table, that system will stop automatically. You will not be allowed to do anything in the system until and unless you clear some data or you do the table partitioning. So if a table, you can see the number of entries. If it is 280 only, if it is 2 billion, in that case you are supposed to do the partition. So there are various type of partition is there. So the solution how to do the partitioning, everything will be available in the SAP support portal in the SAP notes. From there you can select and you can do the table partition. So let's say your any table which is reaching 1.5 billion records, you can, just a minute. So any table you can do the partition, but partitioning is advisable only if you are, if your table is having 1.5 billion of record, more than that. So table will give you whole idea what is this table is all about, how many records are there, how much memory it is using. Every detail can be seen in the tables, and what kind of table is there, logged, insert only, simple, everything will be there in this. So to view the table property, you can check the table/view. Then we have the trigger. So this trigger, you can see it is just for the information purpose, in which you can see what all has been done and what all trigger that is being used in the system. It is just for information purpose. We guys are not using any trigger and procedure, but if sometime the developer is asking something, so you can share this detail with the developer. So these are the procedures which are available, which can be used by HANA modeler or HANA developer. So they can use it. Then we have the DB users. So any user which you would like to, we will be having the separate session on user administration in HANA database. But for this, you can see, right, this user is there, SAP HANA DB. So this HANA DB, what all privilege that this user is having, you can check it. If you would like to change any privilege for any of the user, you just need to open that user and you can change it. Like this update you want to do, or anything, which you would like to change, you can change it. But we are not supposed to make any changes in the standard users which are provided. If we are creating any user in HANA database, yes, in that case we can assign this, but by default we will not be touching anything in any of the users. Then we have the diagnosis files. So this we have already seen, right? When I deleted some of the tables, right, on that day to reduce that alert. So you can see that the trace files. So whatever activity is happening in the database, in that particular service, you can see the trace files are there. So if your system is having any issue, you are supposed to check the trace files. Okay, and especially the alert file. Okay, you can see like there are lots of long running transaction and size is 0, right? So you can delete it. It totally up to you what all you want to keep. So you can see if a transaction is long running, so the trace files will be generated, right? So, and now SAP would like to understand what all long running transactions were there. So they may ask you to, provide these files. So you can provide those files to SAP, and then SAP will check and let you know that what needs to be done.
Sir,
Yeah.
we will have the audit session every 3 months or 6 months, right? Do we have to clear all the trace files, log files during that time, before that time?
See, those files will not be required in the audit.
Then what files do we need to take care of, sir?
Sorry, come again.
I mean, what files should be taken care before the audit, sir? Like diagnostics files, like they will ask no
See, diagnosis
why.
files, okay, diagnosis files, they will never ask. Okay. They will never ask you to provide the diagnosis files. It is having nothing to do, okay, with the audit. These files are related to the technical stuff, okay, which has nothing to do with the audit. In audit, only the change logs will be there, right? So those are not part of the diagnosis files.
Like system logs.
Yeah, these are not the system logs actually. These are a part of technical logs of the database. What is happening in the database which create the issue. That's it. You can see the
Okay,
loads,
sir.
load trace. So whenever the data will be loaded to memory, so you can see the load trace will be there if any issue is there or it is taking some time. So based on that, you can check it.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so these files you can check it. These files are the diagnosis files. You are supposed to check the latest files. Okay, and based on that, you can see what is the problem in the system. SAP may ask you when you raise the request with SAP, SAP will ask you that please provide us the trace files so that they can analyze what is the issue. And based on that, they will suggest you. So in order to avoid the deletion of all the trace files manually, this is the option to merge the trace file into local DB table. Okay. So you can merge. Okay. So what you can do, you can give the date and time, and what will happen, these files will be deleted from there and it will be stored somewhere in the database. Okay, so no need to do this option, okay, because it will increase the space in the database and then you will be clearing up that table as well. So it is advisable to delete the diagnosis files manually. Then we have the backup catalog. So in backup catalog, you will be having the information about the system backup. Like, so you can see that on the 15/6/2021, the backup was successful. And after that, backup is not taken, right? On 3rd of May 2021, backup was not completed. You can see. So you will get the backup status. That what is the status of backup? So if it is successful, you can see that like when was the last time that system was backup completely successful. Then we have locking. So locking will not give any result because this is again test system. So you can see the lock wait time, okay, for some particular record or any deadlock is there in the system. So you can check it over here if it is happening. Okay, so deadlock will seem. So deadlock is there. Let's say you know the DB acid properties, right? So if you are making the edit in one of the entries, right, and the same entries cannot be edited, right, but the previous lock is not is not getting released, which may result in the deadlock situation. So that very rarely you will get those issues in HANA database because it is very fast, and this live cache also, it is not of the use. Any doubt till now?
No, sir.
Then we have the system information. So in system information, you can see the connection. So all the connections which are coming to the database, you can see it over here. And what is the activity that is being performed, which user, what is the authentication method, everything you can see it over here. Okay. All the connections which are directly calling the database, you can check it. So most of the connections will be idle only. One or two will be waiting or running status. So that is fine. You can see only one is running. Okay. So if more connections are running, system may have some performance issue. In that case, you need to check that particular connection, and you can, uh, take the action based on that if required. Then we have connection statistics, that which connection ID has requested more, records, more execution time, and all that detail. So it is just for the reporting purpose that you may use, or SAP may use, to diagnose any issue. Similarly for transactions, so each connections will be running some transaction. What all transaction that is being running, you can see it over here. How much statement they are executing, what is the current statement ID, all these things. So it will be required by SAP to understand what is happening in the system. Then we have caches, nothing to do here in the caches as well. Now the large tables. So let's say you would like to understand the top 100 tables, let's say, which are growing in the size. Okay, so you can see that only one. I think more tables will be shown. Yeah. So let's say your manager is asking that, yes, Ashwini, I would like to understand the top 50 largest tables. And your manager may ask you to do the housekeeping of those tables. So what you have to do, you just need to fetch this table, record everything. You can download it in the Excel as well. There is an option to export to Excel. I'll show you. So here option is there. You can here. So you can save it in the spreadsheet, which I'm going to do. And you can save it anywhere. So you can see that we have downloaded this data. Now total 100 tables are shown, and you can see the size of the tables and the size in the RAM that they are occupying, and number of records, how many records are there, and all that. So now your manager will be asking you that do some housekeeping. So what you need to do, it's not like, okay, I will delete the data from this table. So you just need to check that table first. You need to understand this table belongs to which module, what kind of data this table is holding. And if I need to do the cleanup of the data from this table, what can be done? So you just need to check in SAP support portal. They will be providing you some step for some of the tables, not all the tables. You can do the data cleanup. Okay. So then you will prepare a list. You will prepare an action plan that we can do these things for these tables in order to do the housekeeping, so that your data will be reduced, right? So for that kind of analysis, or if you want to keep your system in healthy status, you can check the this report. Based on the disk size also, you can search the 100 tables, it will show, and you can see the disk size if it is increasing, so which table is occupying more, and you can delete some data or do some analysis on that. So for this, you need to activate this job in the system. So that DB size history. So this DB size history will tell you on a daily basis what is your database size and how much RAM it used on a daily basis. So let's say it's been 5 years that your system is running, right? And your manager would like to understand for the want to do the estimation for next 5-year growth. So he will ask you that I would like to understand the data growth of last 5 years. So by enabling this option, you will be able to see the data growth, monthly basis, yearly basis, and daily basis as well. Then we have SQL workload. So it will show how much execution is being done, how much update is happening in that particular, DB service. And based on that, you can decide. Then we have the license. So license we have discussed, right? Enforced, unenforced, right? So you can see the license memory amount, peak memory allocation, and license key, installation number, and all that. If you would like to install the license, you can install it like here, from here. You just need to select install license key and then select the license key and then install. Database version history. So you can see that on 2020, the database HANA 2.0 SP05 was installed. After that, it was not upgraded. If it is upgraded, so here there will be more entry along with the date on which it was upgraded and the version to which it was upgraded. So there are some general SQL error code if you would like to understand that, okay, you are getting this error in the system, right? So you can check what all SQL codes are there, and based on that, you can tell like this is happening due to this SQL error. Then we have supported features. So what this database supports, right? You can check it like backup recovery, all that. So all these things are available, supported for this feature. Then we have system availability log. So it will show when system was started, when system is available, all that stuff. And then we have these reports. So top 500 column table will highest estimated. If you would like to view this report, you can check it. Okay. So you just need to double click on that, and based on that, it will show. So those things are not required actually. Okay. So main thing here, license, SQL workload, DB size history, large tables, connection and transactions. So this will give you the full, the system information will give you all the necessary stats of your system. Then we have the documentation and the system landscape, which we'll discuss tomorrow. Not today because it will be too much and we don't have nothing much left in the course. Only like in 2 to 3 days it should get completed. So we'll resume the class tomorrow.